Over the last 8 years, I've sent about 500,000 cold emails to companies. I've used scripts that have gotten about a 10% open rate, and I've used scripts that have gotten up to a 70% open rate. And what I've noticed is there's one thing that successful scripts are using that most don't. In this video, we're gonna be talking about what exactly that script is so that you can book a boatload of meetings for your company with cold email. First of all, it has to be concise. Your prospects these days are getting dozens of emails, and the big elephant in the room is they don't know who you are. So they're not gonna be willing to read your mini ebook if that's what you sent in a cold email. Short, to the point, punchy, and valuable. And if they don't see an immediate reason to stick around, they're going to not read your email. Hyper personalization. This is massive. It's not exactly rocket science, but to the prospect, it should feel like you sat down in front of your computer and hand wrote them an email after you did a little research on them and their company. It means that you know them and that they're going to start to build a little bit of trust. We can now do this with AI, and I'll show you exactly how that fits into the script. Finally, the script has to show the value you can provide. This is the big hook. It's the thing that makes you legit, and it's the reason why they would respond. How can you become the bridge from where the client is now to where they want to go? And then you've got a good looking script. This ultimately gives the reader a reason to respond to you. Now I will reveal the best cold email script and show you what makes this thing so effective. My subject line here might be something really simple. We're just sending this as an example prospect, but we'll start off with something like hi first name. That might go into the next line, which is something active about the prospect. So much of the data world has gone into bulk exports and getting these major lists out there, but this strategy revolves around finding something that your prospect has done. It can be as simple as joining an association. It can be a LinkedIn post, an Instagram post, a podcast, something that they've actually done that says that they're more than just an existing contact. What we're gonna do is we're gonna segment those and put them into this type of a copy framework. So that's why I put this as active. So in this case, this is going to be a pure example of I saw your LinkedIn post, simple language here, about, and then this part here represents the AI summarization, which might be this person's most recent post. A lot of times on LinkedIn, that's kind of a low-hanging fruit of just grabbing their most recent LinkedIn post, which is usually about adding team members and things like that if they're not super into it. So if summarized, it says, I saw your LinkedIn post about adding Kelsey Clark to your team as a new hire in the sales department. The next part here, I work with companies like Competitor 1 and Competitor 2 to help each of their sales team members drive 5 to 10 inbound leads per day with my organic LinkedIn influencer framework. So notice I start with I because people want to work with people. People want to build trust with people, not companies. But I work with companies like Competitor. Competitor would be showing that you are legit. To help each of their sales team members, this is what we can do. This is the value that we could provide, which is some sort of a LinkedIn agency to drive 5 to 10 inbound leads per day with my organic LinkedIn influencer framework. Putting a nice name on it to describe what it is never a bad idea. The final part here is opposed if I share a short video on how this could help company. By responding, they're actually keeping their no, which is saying, no, I'm not opposed if you share a short video on how this could help my company. And you always want them to be able to keep their no. Of course, there's a million different ways you can play with this. You could say, mind if I share more, question mark. You could go into, would you mind if I shared a video on how this can help in more detail? Now, in its simplest form, it's only about 70 words, which is very, very short and going to generate a lot of results when you send this to the right people. Now, as a bonus, let's talk about a potential follow-up here, which we would do probably about 3 days after. I'm not a fan of bombarding people with hour after the email or 1 day after the email. Give it some time to breathe. Let the inbox become a place where you're not just trampling it. So, hey, did you have any thoughts about my organic LinkedIn influencer framework mentioned above? Question mark. This is a really solid follow-up. You'll notice I'm not even using their first name. It feels very personalized in that way, which is ironic. The next one though, could be a or statement. This could be a follow-up that you do down the road, or it could be the follow-up that you do 3 to 4 days after as well. But it would be the same subject line. It would say, first name, over the weekend, I figured I'd just shoot the framework over that I mentioned above, or I figured I'd just share the thing. And what that does is it shows that you're just an action taker. You're not always waiting for permission to do things, and depending on your industry, this can actually be a really bold move to just share the thing and not wait for someone to say yes. Specifically though, you're gonna say, not tailored to you, but we'll show exactly how our process works. It's made via Loom, so let me know if you have any questions opening it. And what would really be linked here is a VSL type Loom video put together in a very specific, concise way as well. That's going over your value proposition. Looking forward to getting more specific about company. Talk soon. No call to action, very straightforward. And this, ironically, works really well. We've seen some crazy high response rates with this follow-up as well. This is the best cold email script that you can use to book sales calls for your company. But in order to do that, you'll need a good sending tool to do that. And if you want to use the one that we use to send tens of thousands of cold emails, click the first link in the description to go ahead and check that out. You'll also need quality leads to send these to. And so check out the video in the corner to get the strategy that we use to drive enormous amounts of lead flow to the right people at the right time with scripts just like this one. That's all for this video. I'm sure we'll catch you in the next one.